Hello friends and welcome back. This is a video I've been really excited about doing for a really long time, and it is about color schemes and wedding themes. And this is something that a lot of couples, I think, either don't realize that they have to do, or once they find out that they have to do it, then they realize they've just been really unfocused, and it's an important aspect of the wedding. It really is, and it makes really a wedding what it is. So I have put together a couple little tips just to make picking the scheme and the theme a little bit easier and kind of defining what those are exactly. So let's get going. My first lesson is that schemes and themes are not the same thing. A lot of people think that they are, and people ask, like, oh, what's your theme of your wedding? And they say, oh, it's pink and green. That's not your theme, that's your color scheme. So there's two separate things to kind of break it down. Color scheme is very plainly what colors is your wedding going to be. Are you going to have pink bridesmaid dresses and pink flowers and pink decor? Then pink is your color scheme, but pink isn't your theme necessarily. We'll get to that in a minute. But your theme is kind of the centralized point in which your wedding is focused. So what do you want the feeling to be like? What do you want the atmosphere to be like? What genre do you want your wedding to be in? That is the theme. So for example, with pink, you could have all of your colors be pink and then have your theme be love is sweet and have like a bunch of candy and cotton candy and like little pink things. That's the theme, and then that's the color scheme to go with it. So I hope that helps a little bit. Lesson 2 is that you must have a color scheme. Having a theme is optional. In terms of, you must have a color scheme, I would have thought that that would be obvious, but then I see people picking 10 colors and saying that that's their color scheme. That's not a color scheme. That's you just listing off 10 colors that you liked and then trying to somehow incorporate it all into your wedding. It doesn't work, and it's gonna look sloppy. So don't do that. My recommendation for color schemes is to narrowing yourself to 3, if at all possible. Or if you are going to have more colors, make sure that you have like different shades of the same color so it doesn't look completely ridiculous. You don't want your wedding to be kind of a bunch of splashes of bitty color all over the place. You want it to have some sort of focus. In terms of, whether or not you're going to have a theme, if you just don't really care what your wedding is themed around, you don't really have to have a theme. You can just kind of stick to your colors being your theme. I do recommend, though, having a theme just because it does kind of pull your focus in. And if you are that person who picked the 10 different colors, if you had a theme, then maybe you would realize that like, oh, well, these colors don't go with that theme. It's just a nice little focusing point. I think that's the best way to explain it. It's a way to narrow yourself in a little bit. My third lesson is if you are having both a scheme and a theme, they have to go together. This isn't all that hard to figure out, especially thanks to Pinterest these days. If you type in like a wedding theme, a bunch of ideas will come in, and that will also narrow your color choices. And give you color, ideas too. So it's not all that hard to figure out these days, but then there are those people who have a Winter Wonderland themed wedding and then pick like canary yellow as their color. So just get ideas from the internet, get ideas from magazines, and just kind of make sure that what you're picking makes sense. Fall weddings, you usually stick to reds and browns and stuff like that. You don't pick mint green and, bright teal for fall. That doesn't really work. So, that's just something to consider. Make sure, if you have a damask attack theme, I've seen that, make sure you have damask and colors that work with damask. Make sure that you have those together. So just be conscious of that and make sure that you aren't spreading your ideas in too many different directions. Make sure that your ideas are one with each other. Lesson 4 is to be very conscious of your wedding photos. You're going to be looking at those for a long time, and make sure that whatever scheme you pick and whatever theme you pick, it's one you're gonna be able to live with for more than 20 years. This is a big mistake that people make. They choose carnival, ridiculous, I don't know, elephant themes, and not to bash those themes. I think actually carnival weddings are pretty cool. But if you choose something a little bit more out there, just make sure that that is something that you're really, really okay with. Because like I said, you're going to be looking at those pictures forever. And if you choose colors that are really, really trendy, even, you know, 5 years down the line, you might think, oh, should not have picked that color. Bad life decision. And same with theme. Themes and schemes can be very trendy and very, you know, fleeting. And so just be careful of that, because your photos matter. On the same token with photos, make sure, especially with color, that you're picking things that are going to look good in a photo. Some like really bold colors don't photograph all that well. Or if you choose like black and white, sometimes that doesn't photograph all that well either. So maybe take some sample photos of yourself in like certain things or of certain things just to see how it photographs, to make sure that that's a-okay too. And my last tip is to be conscious of what your family wants and try to respect that, but also stay true to yourself. If you want a rainbow bridal party, have a rainbow bridal party. If you really, really want yellow and gray, have yellow and gray. If you really, really want a Midnight in Paris, Great Gatsby theme, go for it. But also be conscious that there might be objections from your family members on whatever you choose, and kind of know how you're planning on handling that up front, so you don't have this big war and you don't end up settling for something that you don't want just to appease a family member. It's stuff that happens. This is real life, guys. So just be careful of that and be conscious of it going in. So that's all I have for you today, guys. If you want to kind of get in on some popular like theme and scheme ideas, I do have a post on the blog all about some things that have been trending this summer. I did the same thing for spring, and so I'm going to link both of those down below, and I am also going to link to you our Pinterest board, because I have created special boards just for all of these popular schemes and themes that I've talked about in the blog. So really exciting, fun stuff, lots of cool ideas. And so be sure to check those out, like this video if you liked it, and I will see you next week. Thanks guys, bye-bye.